Hi there, I'm Terces, and I want to welcome you to the Unreasonably Grateful podcast. Thank you so much for being here. I'm excited to be on this journey with you, and every week I promise I'll show up and I'll be willing to break my heart open, letting some of the wisdom that's grown through my now 38-year journey of recovery after living for 20 years with an eating disorder and an addictive lifestyle. And it's my hope that in the sharing this journey with you, sharing my stories, as we all know that we learn from one another's stories, that you are inspired and encouraged on your own journey, and that you find a deeper meaning in your day to day life. So, for all of you who are new, welcome. I'm grateful to have you here. For those of you who have been with me a long time, thank you for letting me be a part of your journey and you being a part of mine. So, I'm still in the series where I'm reading from my recently released book on Unreasonably Grateful Living in Grace by Choice. And if you want to follow along with me, the story I'm actually going to read today is chapter 10, and that's on page 25. And the title of that chapter is What Do You Want to Be When You Grow Up? And it's really about letting our outer dreams and desires give us clues and insights into our inner journey. So much of what we learn as we recover the broken off pieces of ourselves and begin to put our lives back together again after perhaps dealing with some dysfunction, distraction. Um, what we learn is something about our inner world. Where we go for healing is inside each of us. Just like I said, I don't have your answers, you do, but sometimes when I share with you the journey that led me to my answers, you get some insights and freedom about your own answers. I remember talking to some friends before I left California and saying, I love addicts. And part of it is there's this integrity, this honesty, this depth that we develop internally in the process of facing our transgressions and our losses and our pains. And it's beautiful and it allows us to develop when we can, when we take the time and we draw closer to people who are willing to expose themselves to us as well. We develop a richness and a depth in our relationships. So anyway, that's my view of people who have dealt with and are healing from addiction or addictive behavior. Okay, so here we go. It's a short little chapter. I grew up wanting to be a trapeze artist in a circus, flying through the air and trusting I would be caught before I fell seemed exciting. While I never joined the circus, there have been so many times when I realized I lived at risk and yet was somehow protected, cared for, and caught by grace. So, the bottom of this page, the insight says, let your outer desires give you clues to your inner world. Grace is an amazing thing. You know, in the Christian path, people say it's not earned. You can't effort yourself to grace. Grace is something that, like I expressed, catches you even off guard. And so often we live at risk, particularly if you're dealing with destructive or addictive behavior, or you're just young, young and maybe foolish, or young and carefree, however you want to see it. And later on in life, we look back and we see, wow, the risks that we took. And it's good to take risks. Don't get me wrong. I think we learn a lot by taking risks. We often say, you want to throw your hat over the wall. You want to take on things you don't know how to take on. Right now, I've never been a skier. I told my husband today, I think I've had on skis maybe twice in my life. And I'm going to take on learning how to cross country ski while we're here. Today, I think, was day 5 of just going around a pasture here on the farm. And it's scary, and I fall, and I'm not young, and it's risky. But there's also this reward in taking the risk. And even at that level, be seeing that I can fall and not break a bone or not get hurt, and I can get up and take another step and learn a little bit more, get a little more confident, develop better balance, whatever that might be. So I'm not saying that risks aren't important. I think they are. But I am saying it's good for us to look at the times when we perhaps were unhealthy in taking risks, and yet we were protected, we were guarded, we were somehow caught by grace, and to give thanks. And to have those outer lessons give us clues to our inner world. And for me, that inner world is one where I am loved and guided and cared for and protected. And I can give thanks and be grateful for that. So take that on this week. See if you can't look back at your life or maybe even some current behavior and look and see where maybe you're taking some unhealthy risks, and yet you could turn those around and give thanks for how well you've been cared for, how well you've been loved at those risky times. Okay? And again, if there's someone you think would benefit or enjoy listening to this podcast or reading the book, invite them. Invitations are a way of saying, you matter to me, and I'd love to have you be a part of this or share it with you. Okay? Thank you for doing that. Have a beautiful week, and I'll see you again soon.